What's up, you guys? Today I have something really exciting, really fascinating. Today I'm covering my number one most requested topic, the thing that people come to me over and over again asking, and that's how do I cook everything? Today we'll be covering that topic. Starting off by reading this book in its entirety. This is How to Cook Everything, 2,000 Simple Recipes for Great Food by Mark Bittman. This is the completely revised 10th anniversary edition. I believe as of the time of recording, this book is now on its 20th anniversary edition. I guess we'll make do with what we've got. Look at the beautiful signature here. This is actually a signed copy. Flawless dust jacket. It's going to be an absolute pleasure to read from. And you're going to learn a lot. I promise that. You'll know how to cook everything by the end of this. I will say I won't be reading any of the tables nor the diagrams in this book. Figure you might be a little strapped for time. I'm going to skip the acknowledgments. I'm going to skip most of the introductory material that I feel like my audience has probably established on how they can get to that point. So we'll start here on the first real chapter, where all good things start. Sauces, condiments, herbs, and spices. So I suggest you settle in with a warm blanket, maybe a cozy beverage. Settle in for a cozy afternoon of what is for sure going to be an enlightening several hours. And, you might enjoy yourself, whether you wanted to or not. Here we go. Sauces, condiments, herbs, and spices. In the last 10 years, nothing in cooking has changed as much as the way we season and accompany our food. This explains, in large part, why this chapter now appears here in the front of How to Cook Everything. Sauces and seasonings have become easy, international, and omnipresent. They are much more important in everyday cooking than they used to be. Until relatively recently, most popular sauces were French and downright intimidating. Often thickened, usually fat-laden and stock-based. Almost always complicated. These old standbys now seem staid and tame. Is it staid or is it stead? Staid and tame. In the last 10 or 20 years, though, we've adopted a more straightforward approach to adding flavor. Most of it decidedly un-French, from salsas to pesto to vinaigrette. Yes, it's French, but it's raw. All the way to chutneys, cooked vegetable and fruit sauces, yogurt sauces, and the huge variety of chili pastes and spice pastes and blends that we have at our disposal. I'm sorry here. Let me reread that sentence here. And the huge variety of chili pastes and spice pastes and blends, we have at our disposal a host of easy to make, easy to understand, and incredibly useful preparations. The result is that you can take the blandest recipes that you can find, steamed chicken or fish, plain rice or pasta, even a slice of toast, and find 50 different accompaniments for each, creating a powerfully flavorful dish every time. Spice blends are crucial to this new approach to seasoning, especially if you're interested in exploring global cuisines. Easily assembled with a long shelf life, they are perhaps the ultimate convenience food, whether used on their own or in a sauce or condiment. Some store-bought sauces and spice blends are bound to be staples in your kitchen. There's a good recipe for ketchup here, but the reality is you're not likely to rely on it exclusively. Even though there are decent bottled condiments, most homemade sauces and spice blends, from curry and chili powder to simple sauce. Sorry, let me start that sentence over. Even though there are decent bottled condiments, most homemade sauces and spice blends, from curry and chili powder to simple salsa, are far superior and, because they are customized, far more likable than anything you can buy. Essential recipes. Here is a handful of super fast and almost ridiculously easy sauces based on ingredients you probably have on hand. Some are served cold or at room temperature. Most you can make ahead and store in the fridge for a bit. And all can be varied to go with virtually anything you make at any time of year. 5-minute drizzle sauce. Nothing could be easier or more versatile. All you have to do is boil some pasta or rice or broil a piece of chicken or fish, then get this going while it cooks. I'll start you off with the base recipe, a kind of warm vinaigrette, and a handful of variations. But no doubt you will soon come up with even more ideas. 4 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil or butter. 1 tablespoon minced onion, garlic, ginger, shallot, scallion, or lemongrass. 2 tablespoons freshly squeezed lemon juice or mild vinegar, like balsamic. Salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Step 1. Put the oil or butter in a small saucepan over medium heat. When the oil is warm or the butter is melted, add the onion and cook, stirring occasionally until it softens. Turn the heat down if it starts to color, a minute or two. 2. Stir in 2 tablespoons water and the lemon juice and sprinkle with some salt and pepper. Maintain the heat so it bubbles gently for a minute or two. Taste, adjusting the seasoning, and serve. Spiced 5-minute drizzle sauce. Along with the onion or other aromatic, add a pinch of any spice, such as ground cumin, coriander, or saffron, or a spice blend like chili powder or curry powder. To make your own, see pages 65 to 69. Or a small cinnamon stick, or a piece of vanilla bean. Herbed 5-minute drizzle sauce. Just before serving, stir in some chopped fresh herbs, 2 tablespoons of milder herbs like parsley, basil, chives, cilantro, or mint, or 2 teaspoons of more potent herbs like rosemary, tarragon, sage, or oregano. Fiery 5-minute drizzle sauce. Along with the onion or other aromatic, add 1 tablespoon minced fresh chili like jalapeno or Thai, or a whole dried chili. Chipotle is wonderful. Whatever you use, remove it before serving. Or a sprinkle of hot red pepper flakes or cayenne. Sesame soy 5-minute drizzle sauce. Replace the olive oil with 2 tablespoons each of dark sesame and peanut oil. Replace the lemon juice with soy sauce. Along with the onion or other aromatic, add 1 tablespoon sesame seeds or finely chopped peanuts if you like. Finish by adding 2 tablespoons chopped fresh cilantro leaves just before using if desired. Miso 5-minute drizzle sauce. Scrap the whole main recipe and do this. Combine 1/2 cup miso, 1/4 cup sugar, and 1/4 cup mirin, or 2 tablespoons honey mixed with 2 tablespoons water, or sake. White wine or even water is okay too. In a small saucepan. Bring almost to a boil to dissolve the sugar, then just keep warm until ready to serve. 10-minute juicy drizzle sauce. Almost any high-quality juice works here. Try carrot, tomato, orange, or pomegranate, for example. Omit the lemon juice and water. In step 2, stir in 1 cup fruit or vegetable juice instead. Bring the mixture to a boil and adjust the heat so that it bubbles steadily. Cook, stirring occasionally, until the juice reduces by half and thickens almost to a syrup, about 5 minutes. Add herbs, see the first variation, if you like, and serve. That was a lot of 5-minute drizzle sauces. Now we move on to fresh tomato or fruit salsa. Salsa fresca, also known as pico de gallo, or in Mexico, salsa mexicana, is fast, tasty, useful, and simple. It's fantastic with chips or grilled meat or fish, but also simply cooked grains, eggs, and veggies. And if you double the recipe, you can serve this like a chunky gazpacho and eat it with a spoon. To take this in an unusual direction, replace the tomatoes with a couple cups of fruit. Apples, especially tart green ones, peaches, pears, and plums are the obvious choices, but seeded grapes, pineapple, orange, or grapefruit segments, and even cherries or berries are all wonderful. 2 large, ripe, fresh tomatoes, cored and chopped, about 1.5 cups. 1 teaspoon minced garlic, or to taste. Minced fresh chili, like jalapeno, Thai, or less of habanero. Or red pepper flakes, or cayenne, to taste. 1/2 cup chopped fresh cilantro or parsley leaves. 2 tablespoons freshly squeezed lime juice, or 1 tablespoon red wine vinegar. Salt and freshly ground black pepper. Combine everything but the salt and pepper in a medium bowl. Sprinkle with salt and pepper, then taste and adjust the seasoning. I wonder why they separated the first step from sprinkle with salt and pepper. Not quite sure if those needed to be separated. 2, if possible, let the flavors develop for 15 minutes or so before serving, but by all means, serve it within a couple of hours. Pureed tomato or fruit salsa. For a less chunky version, toss the salsa into a food processor and blend as smooth as you like. Chilean salsa, a little more assertive but less acidic. Increase the minced garlic to 1 tablespoon. Add 1 teaspoon chopped fresh oregano leaves and 1 to 2 tablespoons olive oil. Omit the lime juice. You'll notice something interesting here. I've been told that for these longer format videos, retention can be an issue. And so every time I turn the page, there is a chance that I will reveal an Amazon gift card code to reward you for watching. Anytime that happens, I'm happy to read it out for you, to log into Amazon and redeem. This one is 7XSA Z8MBZP Z11L. Thank you for continuing to watch. Salsa cruda. This makes a good pasta sauce. Eliminate the onion and chili, substitute basil leaves for cilantro, and balsamic vinegar for the lime juice. Add a tablespoon or more of good extra virgin olive oil. Avocado red pepper salsa. Add chopped avocado and chopped roasted red peppers. Bean salsa. Black beans are most traditional, but pintos or even chickpeas would work well here too. Add a cup of your favorite cooked beans, substitute red onion for the white wine, and add 1 teaspoon ground cumin. Let it sit for about 30 minutes to develop the flavors. Mexican cheese salsa. Add 1/2 cup or more of crumbled queso fresco and replace the garlic with 1/2 of an English cucumber, peeled and chopped. Simplest yogurt sauce. Good yogurt is sour and rich, practically a sauce itself. Add a little salt and you're set. The recipe and variations here build on that idea, adding various seasonings or chopped vegetables in the traditions of mostly India, where yogurt sauces are called raitas, and the Middle East. You can make your own yogurt, but good yogurt is sold in stores too. Just avoid those containing gelatin or pectin or lacking live cultures. Good yogurt may be thick or thin. It may have a hard, almost cream cheese layer on top, or it may not. But it always has a fresh, sweet, sour smell and delicious flavor. If you want a slightly thicker sauce, drain the yogurt for 15 minutes or so before starting. 1 cup yogurt, preferably whole milk. 1 teaspoon minced garlic. Salt and freshly ground black pepper. Freshly squeezed lemon juice if necessary. 1. Combine the yogurt with the garlic, a pinch of salt, and a grinding or two of pepper. Taste and adjust the seasoning, adding some lemon juice if necessary. 2. Serve immediately or refrigerate for up to a few hours, then bring back to near room temperature before serving. Herbed yogurt sauce. Add 1/4 cup chopped fresh herbs to taste. Use mint leaves, parsley, dill, cilantro, or any other tender herb. A teaspoon of dried mint or dill is also acceptable. Other dried herbs are not as good. Onion yogurt sauce. Add a tablespoon or more minced onion, shallot, or scallion. You can omit the garlic or not, as you like. Richer yogurt sauce. Top with a tablespoon or so of good extra virgin olive oil, along with a sprinkling of paprika or cumin, if you like. Avocado yogurt sauce. Stir in or puree in a food processor 1/2 ripe avocado or more, along with a little extra lemon juice. Raita, this classic Indian yogurt sauce. Add about 1 cup cucumber, peeled if you like, seeded and chopped, and salted if necessary, or peeled, seeded, cored, and diced tomato, or any mixture of vegetables, like those you'd use in a chopped salad. Ginger yogurt sauce. Stir in a tablespoon or so of minced fresh ginger. Fiery yogurt sauce. Add hot red pepper flakes, chili powder, or minced fresh chili to taste. Spicy yogurt sauce. Add a pinch or more of cumin, paprika, cayenne, dried mustard, saffron. Let the sauce stand for a while before using it, or use turmeric for the same color if less flavor, or ground ginger. Nutty yogurt sauce, or seedy yogurt sauce. Stir in up to 1/2 cup finely chopped nuts or seeds. Shredded unsweetened coconut is an Indian classic, but anything is fair game. Poppy seeds look gorgeous. Yogurt sauce with beans. Add 1 cup drained, cooked, or canned beans, especially chickpeas. Sweet yogurt sauce. A spoonful of honey, either alone or in combination with any of the above, goes well with heavily seasoned food, and the sweetness helps round out yogurt's natural acidity. Blue cheese dressing. Good with sour cream or mayonnaise too. Add about 1/2 cup crumbled blue cheese, along with a bit of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Omit the garlic. Here now are 7 uses for simplest yogurt sauce. Any of the previous yogurt sauces can be used in myriad different ways. Some ideas. 1. As a salad dressing, thin with a little lemon juice or sherry vinegar and olive oil. 2. Alongside any simply grilled, broiled, roasted, steamed, or sautéed meat, fish, or poultry. 3. Atop grilled or steamed vegetables or baked potatoes. 4. As a dip for raw veggies or chips in any sort of fritter or other fried snack. 5. Stirred into cooked rice or other grains for extra creaminess, body, flavor, and protein. 6. Cooked on top of roasted vegetables, poultry, or meat, as you might cheese. Do not overcook, but add during the last 5 or 10 minutes of cooking. 7. Stirred into chopped raw fruit and or nuts for a more complex fruit salad. Soy dipping sauce and marinade. This is an ideal dipping sauce for simply prepared, even steamed, fish, shrimp, chicken, or pork. And of course, fried wontons or egg rolls. It's also perfect for drizzling over sushi bowls or tossing hot or cold with Chinese egg noodles. And you can make it even easier by skipping any or all of the garlic, ginger, or scallion. You also might try substituting a quarter cup of ketchup for the sugar. Don't knock it till you try it. Or, in Korean style, adding a quarter cup of toasted sesame seeds to the sauce. If you don't have rice vinegar or sake, use a fruity white wine or a tablespoon of cider or white vinegar mixed with a tablespoon of water. A half cup of soy sauce. 2 tablespoons rice vinegar or sake. 2 tablespoons dark sesame oil. Oh, look at this. Not an Amazon code this time, but rather a paid advertisement for Fruitful. Mind if I read it? The folks at Fruitful believe that everyone deserves professional financial advice, no matter their income or situation. That's why they make access to a financial planner not only possible, but affordable. For a simple monthly subscription, you get direct, unlimited access to a fruitful financial guide who's focused on your goals, whether it's paying off debt, saving for your future, or getting ahead in your financial life such that you feel resilient and prepared for any possible curveballs. I have gone through the onboarding process at Fruitful pretty recently myself. I met one-to-one via video sessions, and I'm able to apply her advice to saving, spending, and investing all in one place. I can earn up to 5% annual percentage yield on all my cash, and I can even request a Fruitful card to track spending and earn rewards. I understand that having a financial planner sounds like something that's reserved just for rich folks, but Fruitful is set up in a really unique way that makes it helpful for anyone at any stage at a flat rate. You aren't upsold for bonus features or charged extra fees for certain features. The price is the price. And if you don't get what you want out of your experience within 30 days, you get a full refund with no fuss. Go to fruitful.com, choose the financial guide who you match with the most, and get started this week. Use my code SHACK at checkout within the next 30 days for 50% off your first month. That's SHAQ at checkout within the next 30 days for 50% off your first month. Thus ends the advertisement. Where were we? Ah, yes. 1 tablespoon sugar. 2 large cloves garlic, minced. 1 tablespoon minced or grated fresh ginger. 1/4 cup minced scallion. Combine all the ingredients and stir until the sugar is dissolved. Use immediately or refrigerate for up to 2 days. Tahini soy sauce. Thicker and richer and terrific with anything grilled. Omit the ginger and scallion. Substitute a 1/4 cup honey for the vinegar and add 2 tablespoons of tahini. Sprinkle with hot red pepper flakes if you'd like. Sweet and sour sauce. Omit the sesame oil. Increase the sugar to 2 tablespoons. Increase the vinegar to 3 tablespoons. Cook briefly over low heat, stirring to dissolve the sugar. Taste and add more vinegar or sugar if necessary. Cool before serving or use warm as a basting sauce for roasted, grilled, or broiled vegetables, fish, poultry, or meat. You can make this hot and sour sauce by, You can make this hot and sour sauce by adding cayenne to taste. The basics of flavored oils. By taking an herb, spice, or aromatic and infusing its essence into the oil, you create something delicious akin to compound butter. The first thing to consider is the oil itself. Do you want olive oil, another flavorful oil like peanut or dark sesame oil, or a neutral oil like grapeseed or corn. This is a judgment call that you can make on a case-by-case basis, but it's mostly common sense. You're likely to pair rosemary with olive oil, for example, because both are most often used in Mediterranean cooking. You're likely to pair star anise with peanut oil because both are likely to be used in Asian cooking. But whenever you're in doubt, reach for your neutral oil. You can't go wrong here. In any case, do not use your best olive oil for infused oils. It will not make the final product any better. Infused oils can go bad and even cause illness, but you need not worry about this if you make small, half-cup batches, enough to store comfortably in the refrigerator and use within a week. You don't want it sitting around much longer than that. Refrigerating many oils causes them to solidify, but this isn't a problem. Solidified oils will melt as soon as they come back to room temperature, or you can use them as a spread. One last word. Don't bother to make infused oils with ground spices or herbs. These flavor oil or anything else so quickly that the infusion contributes nothing further. And they're easy to burn. Flavored oil. It's almost impossible to use too much of the flavoring ingredients in this preparation. But if you do, if your oil becomes too strong, simply dilute it with a little fresh oil. You can certainly mix or match among the or options here, but remember that combinations will limit the range of oil's usefulness. 1/4 cup washed and dried fresh herb leaves, rosemary, thyme, bay leaf, tarragon, marjoram, oregano, etc. Or 1 tablespoon whole spice, star anise, peppercorns, clove, allspice, nutmeg, dried chilies. Or aromatics, 2 cloves garlic, lightly crushed, or 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger slices, roughly chopped shallot or scallion, celery leaves, or a combination. A pinch of salt and a half cup extra virgin olive oil or neutral oil, like grapeseed or corn. 1. Combine the ingredients in a saucepan over low heat. Warm gently until the mixture sizzles, then continue to cook until the oil is very fragrant, another 5 minutes. Cool, then strain into a clean bottle or another container. Refrigerate and use within a week. I see pestos, herb purees, and herb sauces is up next. But first, I do realize that I will be here for quite a while, so I'd like to order myself a meal via delivery. Please bear with me. Okay. Let's open up Uber Eats. Remember what the address to this place is. Apply a $5 promotion. Ooh. I think I'll use Klarna to pay for this time. That way I can pay in 4 interest-free, easy, bi-weekly payments. I don't want you seeing the last 4 digits of my credit card. I also don't want you seeing this address, so I'll just obscure my phone and carry on. Thank you for bearing with me. The order has been placed. Just tidy up my things here. Where were we? Right. Pesto, herb purees, and herb sauces. Herb pastes and purees give as much bang for the buck as any sauce preparation I know. The herb is always the dominant flavor. Just look at the quantities, even when it's combined with spices or garlic. Use the best oil you can find and, more important, make sure it tastes fresh. Traditional pesto. The best pesto is made with a mortar and pestle, and in Genoa? I'll look it up later. Let's just say Genoa. And in Genoa, where pesto originated, few people will admit to using a food processor. But when you get into their kitchens, that's just what they do. And so do I. If you have a garden filled with basil, by all means, make as much pesto as you can and throw it in the freezer. It keeps fairly well, but to help retain its bright green color, drizzle a layer of olive oil over the top once it's in a container, and don't add Parmesan until you're ready to use the sauce. If you're using store-bought basil, you might as well just make it in the quantities given here and enjoy it fresh. And though it's not traditional, you can substitute parsley for all or some of the basil with fine results. 2 loosely packed cups fresh basil leaves, rinsed and dried. Salt. A half clove garlic, peeled, or more to taste. 2 tablespoons pine nuts or chopped walnuts. A half cup of extra virgin olive oil, or more as desired. A half cup of freshly grated Parmesan, Pecorino Romano, or other hard cheese. Either way, it's optional. 1. Combine the basil with a pinch of salt, the garlic, the nuts, and about half the oil in a food processor or blender. Process, stopping to scrape down the sides of the container, and if necessary, adding the rest. Oh, sorry, I misspoke here. Scrape down the sides of the container if necessary, and adding the rest of the oil gradually. Add more oil if you prefer a thinner mixture. 2. Store in the refrigerator for a week or 2 in the freezer. My mistake once again. Store in the refrigerator for a week or 2 or in the freezer for several months. Stir in the cheese by hand just before serving. We've got some variations here once again. Pesto with butter. Toss this with pasta or rice, or use it as you would compound butter. It's really quite special. Blend in 2 tablespoons softened butter along with the last bit of oil. Do not store this version. Mint or dill pesto. Super on pasta or grilled fish, chicken, or vegetables. Substitute mint or dill for the basil. The garlic is optional. Use a neutral oil, like grapeseed or corn, instead of olive oil, and omit the cheese. Finish, if you like, with a squeeze of lemon juice. Use within 1 day. Arugula pesto. Terrific with grilled steak or vegetables or plain rice. Substitute arugula, tough stems removed, for the basil. Omit the cheese. Use that within a day as well. Parsley or other herb puree. Simpler, purer, less complex than traditional pesto, parsley puree is also even more of a standby. For one thing, you can find decent parsley year-round. For another, it's a brighter, fresher puree, and therefore less specific in its uses. And, as you can see from the variations, it's equally effective with different herbs. 2 cups fresh parsley leaves, thin stems are okay, rinsed and dried. Salt. A half clove of garlic, peeled or more to taste. A half cup of extra virgin olive oil or more as desired. 1 tablespoon sherry vinegar or freshly squeezed lemon juice. 1. Combine the parsley with a pinch of salt, the garlic, and about half the oil in a food processor or blender. Process, stopping to scrape down the sides of the container if necessary, and adding the rest of the oil gradually. Add the vinegar, then a little more oil or some water if you prefer a thinner mixture. 2. Taste and adjust the seasoning, then serve or cover and refrigerate for up to a couple days. Cilantro, dill, basil, or mint puree. These are good for their straight herbaceous flavors. Cilantro puree is terrific with grilled chicken, mint with lamb, and so on. Substitute any of these herbs, leaves only, or leaves and very thin stems, for the parsley. Chimichurri, very strong stuff. Use 3 or more garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons vinegar or freshly squeezed lemon juice, and at least 1 teaspoon of hot red pepper flakes. Do not refrigerate. Green olive mojo, Caribbean and intense. Reduce the olive oil to 1/4 cup. Use 1/4 cup freshly squeezed lime juice, or to taste, in place of the vinegar or lemon juice. After pureeing, use the food processor to pulse in 1 cup pitted green olives, or chop the olives by hand and add them. In any case, do not puree them. Cilantro, or other herb sauce. Here, just enough oil is added to thicken the mixture a bit. It doesn't become creamy like pesto, but it maintains. I keep getting tripped up on retains because I'm confusing remains and maintains. This word resides in the middle. It retains a vibrant herb flavor. Wonderful, drizzled over fish or vegetables or stirred into soups. You can also make this with parsley, basil, dill, mint, or a combination. 2 cups loosely packed fresh cilantro leaves. Salt. 1 clove garlic. 3 tablespoons peanut oil or neutral oil, like grapeseed or corn. 1 tablespoon freshly squeezed lime juice. 1. Combine the cilantro, a pinch of salt, the garlic, and the oil in a food processor or blender. Process, stopping to scrape down the sides of the container if necessary. Add the lime juice and blend for a second. Add a little water if necessary to thin the mixture, then puree. 2. Taste and adjust the seasoning, then serve or cover and refrigerate for up to a couple days. Cilantro pesto with ginger and chili. Serious kick here and a must for chili lovers. Double the garlic and add about 1 tablespoon roughly chopped fresh ginger and hot red fresh chili. Habanero or jalapeno seeded. I really bungled this one. I shouldn't have said the word red. It's hot fresh chili, like habanero or jalapeno seeded, or a hot red pepper flake to taste. There's a beautiful diagram here of what it's like to remove leaves from thyme. The illustrations are really great. I don't know if the illustrator is credited here in the front or back cover, but my kudos to them. The herb lexicon. Literally thousands of plants are used as herbs. The ones used in this book are in the following charts, which are pretty self-explanatory. Again, I will not be covering the charts here. Oh, don't want to spoil the surprise, but the next page does contain another Amazon code. The first lists the most frequently used herbs in alphabetical order. The second includes several others that are a little more unusual and are sometimes, but not always, found in supermarkets. How about I read this off before continuing? TTTQ 07NUMD ZKZD. I also wonder the status of my delivery. Latest arrival by 2 p.m. Wow. Estimated arrival 1:30 p.m. Quite the range. Though no herb is a direct substitute for any other, there are many situations in which you're not necessarily looking for a specific flavor, but rather the freshness that herbs provide. In these cases, you can substitute parsley for basil, cilantro for mint, and so on. Just don't expect the end product to taste the same. Fresh herbs taste best and keep best when stored in the refrigerator. Most should simply be wrapped in damp paper towels and slipped into a plastic bag. Set those with fragile leaves like basil, chervil, dill, mint, and parsley stem down in a jar of water with a plastic bag over the leaves. Change the water every day and try not to upset the glass. Store dried herbs in sealed, light-proof jars or in a dark place for up to a year. Taste before using them, and you'll know when it's time for a new batch. Before using, it's usually best to strip herb leaves from their tougher, more bitter stems. This is especially true of the strongest herbs like rosemary and oregano. Just hold the top of the stem tightly with one hand and run your fingers downward to strip off the leaves. Lucky us, twice in a row. This one reads RQZJ RFQLWY JCVY. I'm glad I decided to read these because that V and that Y look awfully similar. Here's a topic that's been mentioned several times already in the book: compound butters. The basics of compound butters. Compound butter is nothing more than butter mixed with a flavorful ingredient. Anything from an herb or spice to a bit of fruit, like lemon, or a condiment, like mustard or soy sauce. It's best used as a finishing ingredient in sauces and also on grilled or broiled meats and vegetables. To make it, you just combine butter and your chosen ingredients. There is no exact ratio, but use good quality unsalted butter and certainly avoid margarine. If you want to avoid butter, see flavored oil. You can refrigerate compound butter for days or freeze it for a month or so. Roll it into a log and wrap it in 2 or 3 layers of plastic before freezing. When you need some, slice a piece off and return the rest to the freezer. Compound butter. Herb butters are the most basic and traditional compound butters. Variations follow. Bear in mind that some herbs are stronger than others, and spices are stronger still, so adjust the amount based on taste. 2 tablespoons chopped parsley, chervil, cilantro, chives, dill, or sage, or smaller amounts of tarragon, rosemary, or thyme leaves, or a combination. 4 tablespoons, that's half a stick, butter at room temperature. Salt, freshly ground black pepper, the juice of half lemon. 1. Use a fork to cream the herbs with the butter. Add salt as needed and pepper and lemon juice if you like. 2. Use or wrap and refrigerate or freeze for later. Here now are 15 easy flavorings for compound butter. These can be used in conjunction with the herb or not, as you prefer. Same with the lemon juice, or combined with one another. Amounts are approximate. Adjust to taste. 1. 2 tablespoons chopped scallion. 2. 1 tablespoon minced fresh ginger. 3. For a sweet butter, 1 to 2 tablespoons honey or minced crystallized ginger. 4. 1 teaspoon grated lemon or lime zest, along with 1 tablespoon freshly squeezed lemon or lime juice. 5. 1 tablespoon capers, rinsed and mashed with 1 teaspoon minced lemon zest. 6. 1 tablespoon balsamic vinegar with 1 tablespoon minced shallot, if you like. 7. 1 tablespoon Dijon mustard or horseradish, or 1 teaspoon wasabi powder. 8. 2 teaspoons Spanish paprika. 9. 2 tablespoons minced, pitted green or black olives. 10. 1 teaspoon minced garlic. 11. The mashed flesh of half a peach, plum, or pear. 12. 1 or 2 teaspoons soy sauce. 13. 1 or 2, or more if you're a fanatic, mashed anchovies. 14. 2 or 3 tablespoons finely chopped dried shrimp. 15. 1 or 2 tablespoons minced, fresh, or dried chilies, or to taste. Here now we have 6 almost as easy flavorings for compound butter. Cooking takes the edge off garlic, onions, and other foods. Excuse me, I do have to take this call as it's from my wife. Hello, I'm recording. Are you okay with that?
Oh, sure. I was just going to ask what you were up to.
I am recording myself reading the entirety of How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman. I am on page 32 out of 1023.
Oh, my. Okay, you're just reading from this cookbook?
Yeah, I'm just reading the cookbook word for word so that by the end of the video, people know how to cook everything.
Have you looked into, like, potential copyright laws or anything like that?
No, this is transformative, isn't it? I'm turning it into a video instead of a book.
Well, I don't know. I don't practice that law, but...
Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody who does copyright law?
I'm sure I could find somebody.
Shoot. Well, I reserved this studio for like 5 hours, so I don't plan on stopping. Indeed. I guess I'll have to do a little bit of research here and find out about that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Huh. Okay, shoot. It is 1:04. What are the rules to this? Illustrations by Alan Witschonk. Now I have the answer to that question, but I'm left with an entirely new question. This book is printed on acid-free paper. Copyright 2008, all rights reserved. Illustrations, copyright, published by John Wiley and Sons. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system. I don't know what a retrieval system is, or transmitted in any form by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, scanning, or otherwise, except as permitted under Section 107 or 108 of the 1976 United States Copyright Act without either the prior written permission of the publisher or authorization through payment of the appropriate per copy fee to the Copyright Clearance Center or on the web at copyright.com. Requests to the publisher for permission should be addressed to the Permissions Department, John Wiley and Sons, or online. Oh. Well, there is a phone number here for the Permissions Department. That's a fax number 201-748-6011. Permissions Department of John Wiley and Sons, Inc.
Mailbox of the person you are calling is currently full and cannot accept new messages. Please try your call again later. Thank you.
Okay. The mailbox is full, so I cannot even leave a message. Shoot. Trademarks. limit of liability, disclaimer of warranty. For general information on our other products and services or for technical support, please contact our customer care department within the United States. Okay, maybe the customer care department. 762-2974.
Thank you for calling Wiley. Please note that your call may be recorded for training and quality purposes. For customer care, press 1. For technical support, press 2. For Journal's customer service, press 3. We are no longer offering technical support via phone call. For prompt assistance, you can visit support.wiley.com to access a variety of help resources, including 24/7 live chat support.
I do wonder what is customer support like for a book? Yeah, excuse me, my book won't open. Have you tried opening and closing it again? Shoot, I don't know if I can even read the rest of this. What time is this? It is 1:08. My food isn't even going to arrive here for 30 more minutes. Or maybe even more than that. Maybe I just read a couple pages from the good part. How about we skip ahead to the good part? That's beans on page 405. And copyright be damned. If I can't read a little bit about beans, then what's the point of all this? 405, 401. Skipping a lot of valuable information. I hope there's no spoilers in here. Okay, beans. Just a couple pages, then we can wrap this up. It won't be exactly what I was hoping for, but it's at least something. We have come full circle, and once again are beginning to appreciate beans, a generic term used for beans, peas, split peas, lentils, and other legumes. In fact, they are even becoming chic. I adore beans. They're among my favorite staples, and I cook them several times a week for both side dishes and main courses. Beans are low in fat and calories and a source of high-quality protein, fiber, and complex carbohydrates. They are easily stored and almost never go bad. They are environmentally friendly and inexpensive. Even precious heirloom varieties are no more than $7 a pound, but common beans, white beans you buy in a supermarket, for example, can be as cheap as 50 cents. So, it would seem to me that the only question is, how can I cook them more often? Period. Fortunately, there are thousands of ways to serve beans and tofu, which is soybean cheese, and to which I've devoted a section at the end of this chapter. As a simple side dish with olive oil, lemon juice, butter, or herbs, beans bring variety to the winter table. As part of a stew, with or without meat, they offer heartiness that no vegetable imparts. And, cooked quickly and simply, with fresh vegetables, they add body and earthy flavor. Although there are literally hundreds of varieties of dried beans, virtually all of them can be treated in the same way. Since there are some misconceptions about storing and cooking beans, I'll cover the basics and offer some essential recipes before looking at the individual types and categories. The basics of beans. All beans, lentils, peas, and peanuts, and some grasses belong to the Leguminosae family. I'm going to look that one up. Lord knows I've got plenty of time to spare, and I haven't looked up so many things so far. How to pronounce... I always type in probounce. What's this word here? Leguminosae. Leguminosae. Good. Now I know. Now I can take it from the top with the proper pronunciation. All beans, lentils, peas, and peanuts, and some grasses belong to the Leguminosae family. We call them all beans or legumes. They're also called pulses. These plants produce their seeds in a pod, and it's these seeds we eat. Legumes are easily dried and preserved for storage and future use, and have been for eons. Though you can sometimes find other forms of beans, see fresh and frozen shell beans, most legumes are sold dried and must be cooked for a relatively long period of time to rehydrate and become edible. This incredibly simple task has generated as much controversy as anything in cooking. Don't I know it? The ironclad rules people have come up with are enough to put you off from cooking beans, and they may as well have done so for you. I'll make things easy because it's just not that complicated, and there's plenty of flexibility. Buying and storing beans. Dried beans rarely go bad, but they do get old. Stale beans might taste musty, but more often, old beans just require more water and longer cooking time to soften up. Unfortunately, you have little way of knowing when beans were dried, though there are some visual cues. Avoid packages with a large percentage of broken beans, imperfect skins, or discolorations. Ideally, you'd buy beans at a place where they're sold and restocked frequently. Store them in a cool, dry place, making sure they are tightly sealed, either in their original packaging or a plastic container or a glass jar. Since freezing dehydrates beans, it's not a great idea. I try to finish all the beans I've accumulated during the course of the year each summer, so I know I'm not keeping any for longer than a year. Most beans are harvested late in the summer, so the new crop is available in stores in the fall. Since newer beans taste better, cook faster, and contain more nutrients, it's worth updating. From everyday to heirlooms to hybrids, the world of beans is endless. Fortunately, you can find some of the best beans at international groceries and natural food stores, and many specialty varieties are now sold online, though often at a steep premium. Beans look different, and there are subtle differences in flavor and texture, but most are truly interchangeable. To help you along, most recipes in this chapter include a listing of other beans you can use. Here again is a chart that I'll be skipping. This chart spans both pages, but we are rewarded with another Amazon gift card code. 2EMQDP7852 G1JU. The basics of preparing and cooking beans. Most beans are cleaned by machines, which do a good job, but it's still worth spending a minute sorting through them before sorting or cooking. Put them in a pot and fill it with water. Then swish the whole thing around. Remove any beans that are discolored, shriveled, or broken, and obviously remove any pebbles or other stray matter. Then dump the beans into a colander and rinse for a minute or so. Dried beans require water and heat to become edible. How much water they absorb and how long it takes to cook them varies, which makes exact cooking times literally impossible to pinpoint. But in any case, the amount of water beans absorb is finite, so if you soak them first, you'll need less water during cooking. This is important to remember because legumes are best cooked when they bubble gently, covered by an inch or two of water, but not much more than that. You don't want to cook beans as you would pasta, in a lot of water at a vigorous boil, then drain the water off. For one thing, the skins will break and tear too soon. For another, a more concentrated cooking liquid is both flavorful and nutritious, and that's what makes the wonderfully creamy texture that makes many bean dishes so appealing. When it comes to cooking beans, myths proliferate. The three big ones, all untrue, are 1. You must soak beans before cooking. 2. You must not add salt during cooking. 3. You must not add acid during cooking. To elaborate, 1. You can soak beans or not, as you like. There are advantages to soaking, but that doesn't make it essential. Soaking speeds cooking, so if you don't have time, do it. Sorry, if you do have time, do it. But don't let the fact that you didn't plan to cook beans until the last minute stop you from cooking them at all. With a pressure cooker, you can move beans from pantry to table in half an hour or so. Even without pressure cooking, many beans can simmer away on a back burner with only the occasional stir and soften completely in as little as an hour. Far less for lentils and split peas. 2. At some point during cooking, more on this later, you should in fact salt the beans, just not at the beginning, though some people would debate even that. It's often said that salting during cooking prevents beans from softening, but it's not true. 3. Similarly, acid is said to slow bean cooking, and conversely, alkaline substances such as baking soda are said to speed it. In fact, baking soda helps to break down the skin of beans, and acid helps to keep skins intact. If you're looking for a mushy bean dish in which the individual beans begin to lose definition, you might need to add a pinch or two of baking soda to the pot. If, however, you like well-defined individual beans, include a teaspoon of vinegar or lemon juice in the water. I don't include acid unless I want its flavor. Over the years, I've tried all sorts of formulas for cooking beans in all different styles. Generally, I prefer beans that are creamy. These take a little longer until their skins burst and the insides begin melting into the cooking liquid. But there are times when you want firm beans for a salad or skillet dish, or just because you like them more that way. There's no big mystery here. Just taste them as they cook and take the pot off the heat when they're done, the way you want them. If all this sounds imprecise, it is, and that's a good thing. For many bean dishes, you don't even need a recipe because few kitchen chores are simpler than cooking beans. You put the cleaned and probably soaked beans into a pot, cover them with cold water, and then turn the heat on. It takes just a couple minutes to bring the pot to a boil, at which point you lower the temperature so the beans bubble gently. Then you walk away for a while, coming back to add water as necessary. The timing varies, but little else changes except for ingredients you might add. Serving beans. Sometimes you drain beans before serving them or using them in other recipes. Even though you might save the cooking liquid to cover leftover beans or to enrich soups or stocks, chickpea cooking liquid is especially good for this. More often, though, you want to end up with about an inch of cooking liquid when the beans are done to your liking. This is easy enough. Check the pot every half hour or so while the beans cook and add about a cup of water if they threaten to dry out. This liquid makes beans and rice a natural combination, but of course, beans are fine with grains like barley, couscous, or millet as well. You can also serve beans on top of toasted bread. When the slices are thick and hearty, you've practically got a meal. But you can take the subtle approach and smear a dollop on top of thinly sliced crostini. Stir-fried or sautéed bean dishes are delicious, tossed with all kinds of noodles. Purees, once you thin them a bit, make excellent sauces, especially on pasta. Or you can add a spoonful to enrich soup. Beans also make excellent impromptu fillings for burritos, tacos, and enchiladas. And if you have some firm cooked beans handy, you'll always have a nice add-in for salads. Essential recipes. Since I almost always cooked dried beans from scratch, I'm starting this section with the easiest way to prepare them plain. Beyond that are super fast recipes that work well with either cooked from scratch or canned beans. Cooked beans, the quick soak way. My favorite method and the easiest way to cook beans, because most of the time they aren't cooking at all, they're soaking. Incredibly, if you start a pot of dried beans from scratch without soaking and start a pot with this method, both will be ready at about the same time with no difference in taste or texture. What changes is that you don't have to check as much or add water as often if you soak them. If you're cooking lentils or split peas, which takes no more than 30 minutes to get tender, always follow the no-soak variation. 1 pound dried beans, salt, and freshly ground black pepper. 1. Put the beans in a large pot with a tightly fitting lid and cover with cold water by 2 to 3 inches. Bring the pot to a boil and let it boil uncovered for about 2 minutes. Cover the pot and turn the heat off. Let the beans soak for about 2 hours. Taste a bean. If it's tender, it won't be done. Add a large pinch of salt and several grinds of black pepper. I see now. If it's tender, parentheses, it won't be done. Then complete that step. Make sure the beans are covered with about an inch of water. Add a little if necessary. If the beans are still hard, don't add salt yet and cover with about 2 inches of water. 3. Bring the pot to a boil, then adjust the heat so that the beans bubble gently. Partially cover and cook, stirring infrequently, checking the beans for doneness every 10 or 15 minutes, and adding a little more water if necessary. If you hadn't added salt and pepper yet, add them when the beans are just turning tender. Stop cooking when the beans are done the way that you like them. Taste and adjust the seasoning and use immediately or store. I don't know how much longer I am able to read from this book without facing legal action, as I have not yet received a text back from legal counsel, aka my wife, but I do see that Terry in a white Toyota RAV4, 96% approval rating, is only 3 minutes away from my food. How about I just keep reading until the food is here, and I'll let that determine how willing I am to incriminate myself. Cooked beans, the no-soak way. This is the only way to cook lentils, split peas, and other very small legumes, but it's fine for other beans too. They'll go from raw to mushy very slowly. Put the beans in a large pot with a tightly fitting lid and cover with cold water by 2 or 3 inches. Bring the pot to a boil, then reduce the heat so that the beans bubble gently. Partially cover and cook, stirring infrequently, checking the beans for doneness every 10 to 15 minutes, and adding a little more water if necessary. When the beans start to get tender, add a large pinch of salt and several grinds of black pepper. Stop cooking them when the beans are done the way that you like them. Taste and adjust the seasoning and use immediately or store. Cooked beans, the long soak way. The long soaked way. No more than 12 hours of soaking, please, or your beans will become mushy and bland. Put the beans in a large pot with a tightly fitting lid and cover with cold water by several inches. Leave them to soak for 6 to 12 hours, then drain and return them to the pot. Cover with about 2 inches of water, bring to a boil, and reduce the heat so that the beans bubble gently. Partially cover and cook, stirring infrequently, checking the beans for doneness every 10 minutes or so, and adding a little bit more water if necessary. Frequent checking is important. Long soaked beans turn from tender to mushy rather fast. When the beans start to get tender, add a large pinch of salt and several grinds of black pepper, stopping them when the beans are done the way that you like them. Taste and adjust the seasoning and use immediately or store. 5 ways to flavor beans as they cook. Add any of the following ingredients to the pot, alone or in combination, when you start cooking the beans. 1. Herbs or spices, a bay leaf, a couple of cloves, some peppercorns, thyme sprigs, parsley and or stems, parsley leaves and or stems, chili powder, or other herbs and spices. 2. Aromatics, an unpeeled onion, a carrot, a celery stalk, and or 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. 3. Stock, chicken, beef, or vegetable stock, chicken, beef, or vegetable stock in place of all or part of the water. 4. Other beverages, a cup or so of beer, wine, coffee, tea, or juice. 5. Smoked meat, ham hock, pork chop, beef bone or sausage, fished out after cooking, the meat chopped and stirred back into the beans. 13. Simple additions to cooked beans. Talk about making a good thing better. Few things are easier than this. Add any of the following ingredients to cooked beans. The amounts assume around 3 cups of cooked beans or 4 servings, or follow the procedures as described. 1. 2 tablespoons butter, extra virgin olive oil, or dark sesame oil. 2. Half cup chopped fresh parsley, cilantro, mint, or any basil leaves. 3. 2 tablespoons chopped fresh rosemary, tarragon, oregano, epazote, thyme, marjoram, or sage leaves. 4. 1 cup any cooked sauce, chutney, raw sauce, or ginger scallion sauce. 5. With room temperature beans, up to 1/2 cup any vinaigrette, mayonnaise, or yogurt sauce. 6. A tablespoon or so of any curry powder or spice blend. 7. Stock or other flavored liquid for reheating the beans. 8. Soy, Worcestershire, or tobacco sauce to taste. 9. 1 or 2 tablespoons miso, thinned with hot bean cooking liquid and warmed gently with the beans. 10. Chopped onion or other aromatic vegetables added during reheating. Terry's here. Thank you for doing that. It was instructed to leave at the door, but I can always hear a RAV4 coming because of that awful sound that it makes when the engagement of the parking brake takes place. All right. I guess that's granola. Wow. This is enormous. And partially melted. I hope you understand that I can't exactly wait, as this is a frozen meal that is only getting worse over time. So pardon me while I crack into this. I'll try to make it quick. Ooh. ASMR. Hold on. This has pivoted to an ASMR channel. All right. Excuse me while I eat this, as anybody would with a nice YouTube video. Okay, I will try to make this quick.
Okay, so you guys sent in some really interesting stuff this weekend. It's all about YouTube. And specifically some changes that seem to be happening with the YouTube algorithm.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got a transcript from a YouTube creator.
All right.
And a kind of a summary of what they think is going on. And our goal today is to really kind of go deep.
Dive deep.
Yeah, dive deep into this and see if we can understand what exactly is changing.
Okay.
How are creators reacting to it? And maybe uncovered some things that
Right.
that you might not expect.
Yeah.
And
Looking at strategies.
and looking at some of the more
Yes, Tim?
innovative innovative strategies that some creators are starting to use.
Yeah.
And believe me, there's a key idea here, this concept of sleep content
Sleep content.
that definitely caught my attention.
Yeah. Well, you gave me the sources to look over, and I thought, wow, this is a really interesting snapshot of kind of the ever evolving nature of the platform.
Absolutely.
So to get started, maybe we should just kind of recap quickly, how the YouTube algorithm generally works.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the core principle is pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube wants to show videos to the people who are most likely to watch them.
Right.
And the reason for that is it keeps viewers on the site longer.
Right.
And it means more opportunities to show them ads.
Of course.
And that's how YouTube makes money. And that's how creators make money.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube's got to make money, and they got to keep people happy.
Right.
So the algorithm, aims to create like a balanced environment.
Right.
That can support different kinds of content, from short clips to longer form videos to suit various viewing preferences.
Yeah.
And of course, as new formats like YouTube Shorts and live streams and
Right.
even podcasts have emerged. The algorithm has had to continually adapt.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's a constantly learning system.
Yeah, and it's not just about bombarding us with random videos, right?
Right.
Like it's also designed to filter out clickbait
Oh,
and what they call irrelevant media.
sure.
Though I think it's really important to define like what they mean by irrelevant.
What do they mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in this context, I think what they primarily mean by irrelevant is
Right.
content that you, the individual viewer, are unlikely to find interesting or engaging.
Right.
And it uses, various signals. For example, if you click off a video very quickly,
Right.
to kind of refine, its future recommendations.
It's like it's trying to read our minds a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's trying to predict basically what's going to keep you watching,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
keep you on the platform.
Okay, so that's the basic framework.
Right.
But our creator source is suggesting that something has shifted,
Okay.
especially in like 2023.
Uh,
And they claim to have discovered ways to, and I'm quoting here, beat or manipulate
Yeah.
this newer algorithm.
Interesting.
And it sounds a bit like, they're trying to game the system a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what I found really interesting is that this creator explicitly sets out to kind of explain these algorithmic shifts
Right.
from what they call an exploiter's viewpoint. So they're
Right.
kind of like on the inside,
Yeah.
looking out and saying, okay, this is
That was sure.
here's how it works,
Yeah.
and this is how I'm trying to kind of take advantage of these
Yeah, like exploit these changes.
changes, these mechanics, these
Yeah.
unintended consequences that can arise
Right.
within the platform.
Yeah. And that leads us to that really surprising element that I mentioned.
Okay.
Sleep content.
Sleep content. Yeah.
Honestly, when I first read that, I had to reread it.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wait, what?
What are we talking about here?
Like, what exactly are we talking about?
Yeah, so sleep content, according to this creator, refers to videos that are either like specifically made for
Okay.
or accidentally played to viewers who have fallen asleep
Okay.
while watching YouTube.
All right.
And typically this happens, with the autoplay feature turned on.
Right. So you're nodding off
Yeah.
during a video,
You're watching something,
and then it ends.
and the next thing auto plays.
It auto plays.
Right.
And it could be anything.
Yeah, so imagine this scenario. Someone nods off while watching like a relaxing nature documentary or something
Yeah.
that finishes, and then autoplay kicks in,
Uh-huh.
and maybe an 11-hour gaming live stream archive starts playing.
Yeah.
The viewer is sound asleep,
Sound asleep.
but the video keeps going.
Right. And that's where it gets really interesting for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because even though the viewer isn't consciously engaged,
Right,
the video is still accumulating watch time
right.
and still displaying ads.
Right.
And you think about how many people might be falling asleep
Every night. Every single night.
to YouTube videos.
Right. Yeah. It could be huge numbers.
That's probably a huge number.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does the algorithm interpret this?
Right.
Like someone watching, quote
Yeah.
unquote,
Yeah.
an entire 11-hour Skyrim video in the middle of the night,
Wow.
even if they're dreaming about something completely different.
That looks like to YouTube, it's like incredibly high engagement.
Right.
So the algorithm might then deduce that this viewer has
Yeah.
a strong preference for long form content, especially during those late night hours.
Okay.
And this can lead to what the creator calls an algorithmic snowball effect.
Okay, an algorithmic snowball.
Yeah.
Unpack that a little bit.
So imagine like a positive feedback loop.
Okay.
So if you repeatedly watch,
Right.
long form videos in your sleep
Right.
during your typical kind of like wind down time before bed,
Right.
the algorithm will increasingly recommend
Right.
similar long form content to you
Yeah.
at that time. Even if you initially fell asleep to something completely different,
Right.
maybe a short comedy sketch or something from a different channel altogether.
So you're accidentally training the algorithm
Yeah, you're accidentally training it
based on your sleep pattern.
based on your sleep patterns, exactly.
Wow. So for you, the listener,
Yeah.
this could mean that if you accidentally fall asleep to a long video once,
Right.
you might start seeing
More and more.
more and more linky content in your recommendations,
Yeah.
even if that's not what you actively seek out.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, that's a pretty wild consequence
It is. It's a very strange unintended consequence
of this system.
of the system.
Yeah. Okay, so all this passive watch time
Right.
and these ads that are playing during it, how does that actually translate into like real money for the creators?
Right. So this is where the fundamental economics of YouTube kind of come into play.
Right.
The standard way, that creators make money is through ads that are shown, within their videos.
Right.
And also from revenue generated by YouTube premium subscribers
Right.
who watch their content.
Okay.
Now, longer videos offer significantly more opportunities to insert mid-roll ad breaks.
Right. More ad slots, basically.
More ad slots.
Means more potential revenue.
If a viewer watches the entire video.
Right. Even if they're not actually awake for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And the creator actually provides a really compelling example from their own channel.
Okay.
A recording of a RimWorld live stream from September 2023.
Okay.
It had a surprisingly high RPM.
RPM.
Yeah, RPM, which is the revenue a creator earns for every 1,000 monetized views.
Got it.
And it was around 25.79 pounds.
Wow. Okay. And for context, like, what's a typical RPM?
Yeah, so a typical RPM varies greatly, depending on a bunch of factors.
Right.
But, it might be in the range of like a few pounds,
All right.
maybe 1 to 5 pounds or something like that.
So 25.79 is significantly higher than average.
It is significantly higher than average. Yeah.
Wow.
But what's even more striking is that the estimated value per single view for this video was around $32.
$32 for a single view.
For a single view, yeah.
That's incredible.
It's a lot.
And the creator mentions that a typical monetized view
Right.
might only earn like 3 cents.
Yeah, something like that.
So this one view was over 1,000 times more valuable.
Yeah, in that specific instance, yes.
Wow.
And that's likely due to a combination of, higher paying ads being shown at that particular time and the exceptionally long watch time.
Which is probably boosted by passive viewing.
Which was likely boosted by a lot of passive viewing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the crucial point here is that long form content, even if it doesn't have like a massive number of actively engaged viewers, can still generate like significantly higher revenue.
Simply because of the length.
Simply because of the sheer volume of ads.
And the ads that can be displayed. Yeah. Okay, so we're starting to see how sleep content could be a really big factor in boosting the revenue for these longer videos.
Yeah.
But are there creators out there who seem to be using long form content in ways that might be taking advantage of this?
Yeah.
Whether they're doing it intentionally or not?
Right.
Like, are there people who are like leaning into this?
Yeah, the creator provides some really interesting examples.
Okay.
Let's start with Jacksepticeye.
Okay.
He's well known for his Let's Play style videos, which traditionally were shorter, 10, 20 minutes, something like that.
Right.
But more recently, he's been creating full game playthroughs that can last for, 6, even 9 hours.
Wow. Okay. And these longer videos, while they might not be getting massively more views than his shorter content, are still performing well.
They're doing well.
So the sheer length of them packed with potential ad breaks likely translates to just like a huge increase in revenue.
Yeah.
And also the creator makes a good point here that Jacksepticeye's long videos are generally unique playthroughs.
Right.
They're not just re-edited older content.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah. Another example that's highlighted is Blueprint, who creates videos about the game Rust. And their nearly 4-hour solo Rust gameplay video is mentioned as like having a noticeable influence on the Rust community.
Okay.
Making longer form content more accepted and even preferred within that niche.
So it's shifting viewer expectations.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's not just about passive viewing. There might be a genuine audience developed.
There might be a real audience for that.
Within certain communities for these longer, more immersive experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And then we have creators like Floyd, and Mad Marvin. Who've adopted a slightly different strategy. Okay.
They focus on creating series like 100-day challenges or something in games like Project Zomboid.
Okay.
While the individual episodes can be quite long, the real strategy here, it seems, is that they combine entire series into even longer movie compilations.
Oh, wow. So like taking a whole season of a TV show and editing it down into a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
We see this a lot with narrative driven games.
Right.
And our source creator points out that these compilations often get even more views than the individual episodes did combined.
Wow.
And of course, they're significantly longer.
Way longer.
Meaning way more opportunities for ads.
Right.
So Floyd's Gravekeeper series is a perfect illustration of this.
Okay.
So the individual episodes performed well, but the 3-hour movie compilation attracted significantly more views
Than any single episode.
than any single episode.
Wow.
So the potential for increased watch time.
And consequently, ad revenue is undeniable.
Totally, yeah.
And Matt Marvin took a similar approach with his 200 and 300 Days Project Zomboid series, ultimately releasing a highly successful 300 Days the movie.
Wow, okay.
And the creator notes that this movie outperformed all the individual parts.
In terms of views.
In terms of views,
Yeah.
which very likely translates directly to higher earnings.
Totally.
And what's particularly noteworthy here is that this practice of repackaging existing content
Right.
into supercuts or movie versions
Right.
is becoming increasingly common as creators are recognizing the potential
Right.
to kind of capitalize on this increased overall watch time
Without having to make all new
without
stuff.
necessarily having to create entirely new core content.
Yeah, it's like a really smart way to extend the life and earning potential of content that they've already invested time and effort into.
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
For sure.
So our source creator also touches on the level of awareness about all this
Right.
within the YouTube creator community itself.
Yeah.
Like how much are other creators aware of what's going on?
Are people talking about this?
Yeah.
Well, they suggest that many YouTubers are probably aware of the increased revenue potential associated with long-form content,
Right.
even if they're not deliberately trying to target sleeping viewers.
Right.
The sheer number of these longer compilation videos that are appearing seems to indicate a wider understanding of these dynamics.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So this idea of re-uploading similar content.
Right.
Typically, the algorithm doesn't really favor that.
It doesn't like
But by repackaging it as a supercut or a movie.
Right. I kind of planned on the video ending there due to the copyright issue, but I just took in some kind of interesting information there. I wonder if I can rely on this. I also have this, what would you call it, open source, public domain. We got a public domain cookbook here. This is called Original Recipes of Good Things to Eat. I printed it out myself. I didn't think I'd need it. It's from the Logan Square chapter, Order of the Eastern Star. And since it's, public domain, I think it was printed in 1919. There should be a year on here somewhere. Yeah, 1919. I don't have to worry about anything copyright related. So I can go for a few more hours here. I think I have a couple more Amazon codes. I might just have to, I don't want to reveal them all at once. I'll have to shuffle them in. I didn't really plan for this. I'll just put them in a couple random pages. See how far this gets us. And it's no how to cook everything. It's not a signed copy, but everything includes this food from 1919, so it still counts the way I see it. I'm refreshed. I've eaten a delicious meal full of vitamins and nutrients. I've taken in my content for the day. I've got a new vigor within me. I guess I should read the introduction. This is from the Logan Square chapter OES. I'm not sure what that stands for. Gosh, sorry. Good friends, I'm placed here in your view to introduce myself to you. Between my covers, you will find choice recipes of every kind. Oh, it's a poem. You need not be a third-rate cook, for all you have to do is look. I'll teach you how to mix and bake the things that Mother used to make. Good things to drink and good things to eat. All good things to drink and things to eat, and hard and soft and sour and sweet. All credit goes, I must confess, to Logan Square chapter OES. Oh, Order of the Eastern Star. They put me here to tell you why this splendid cookbook you should buy. You, dear viewer, needn't buy anything. Cookery is the art of preparing food for the nourishment of the body. We really are getting back to basics. In preparing this book, we wish that it may not only be looked upon as a compilation of tried and tested recipes, but that it may awaken a deeper interest in our friends and a broader study of what to eat. It pays to advertise. is an old adage, and let us make it true one. Let us make it a true one. This language is significantly more different from that of Mark Bittman. I'll adjust, don't worry. It pays to advertise is an old adage, and let us make it a true one by patronizing the advertisers in this book, and by doing so, we will show our appreciation for their courtesy to us. The first chapter is soups, and we have here a bunch of babies making soup. The little proverb, diet cures mair than doctors, an old Scotch proverb. All right, here we go. Tomato soup. Boil 12 tomatoes until they are soft. Run through a sieve and add a teaspoon of soda to a quart of pulp. Put a tablespoon of butter in a saucepan. When it melts, add a teaspoon of flour. Add a pint of hot milk, salt, cayenne pepper, and cracker crumbs. When it boils, add the tomatoes. Do not let it boil after the tomatoes had been added. Serve at once. That's from Mrs. Wilhelmina Albrecht. Potato soup. 4 medium-sized potatoes, 2 medium-sized onions, 1 slice bacon or salt pork, salt and pepper to taste, 2 quarts of water. Dice potatoes, onions, and bacon. Put on to cook in hot water. Boil 1 hour. Serve with bread and butter. Serves 5 people. By Nellie Gray. Split pea soup. 1 cup dried split peas, 4 cups water, 1 cup milk, 1 onion, 2 tablespoons butter, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon ground mixed spices, 1/8 teaspoon curry powder. Melt butter in a pot, add onion, minced fine, and spices. Stir in hot butter for 3 minutes. Now add peas and water and boil 1 hour in a covered pot or until peas will pass through a sieve. Add milk. Bring all to a boil and serve hot. That was by Mrs. Fox. Immediately, you can see the difference between recipes back then and recipes now. They hardly need any information. 1/4 teaspoon of ground mixed spices. Not exactly very specific. Here we have an advertisement for Hollander warehouses. I really doubt that they are still in business, but there's their address if you wish to try and patronize their business. Creamed fish soup. 1.5 pounds of perch or any solid fish, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 quarts of water, half onion, 1 bay leaf, 4 whole spices, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 cup of cream, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 egg. Cook the onion, salt, butter, spice, and bay leaf in 2 quarts of boiling water. Then add the fish. When all are done, put on a platter. Pour soup through strainer. Add vinegar to taste and the cornstarch dissolved in the cup of cream. Let come to a boil. Take from stove. Have ready 1 or 2 eggs well beaten. Add to the soup, stirring all the time. Be careful not to have it boiling hot or the egg will curdle. Add teaspoon of chopped parsley. Bertha E. Samlow. Cream of tomato soup. 1/2 canned tomatoes, 1 small tablespoon sugar, 1/4 teaspoon soda, 1/4 cup butter, 1 quart milk, 1 slice onion, 4 tablespoons flour, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Scald milk with onion. Remove onion and thicken with flour mixed with cold water until smooth enough to pour. Cook 20 minutes, stirring constantly at first. Cook tomatoes and sugar 15 minutes. Add soda and rub through a strainer. Combine mixtures and strain into a heated dish over butter, salt, and pepper. That is from Mrs. Anna Schaberg, PM. Oxtail soup. 1 small oxtail. 6 cups stock. 1/2 cup each carrots, turnips, onions, and celery cut fine. 1/2 teaspoon salt. Few grains cayenne. 1/4 cup Madeira wine. 1 teaspoon Worcestershire sauce. And 1 teaspoon lemon juice. Cut oxtail in small pieces. Wash, sprinkle with salt and pepper. Dredge with flour and fry in butter 10 minutes. Add stock and simmer 1 hour, then vegetables. When soft, add salt, cayenne, wine, sauce, and lemon juice. From Clara Mack. Oh, I accidentally put 2 Amazon gift card codes here, so I'll push this one back for a few pages. In the meantime, this one is 0RNOBQFINXUYUR. I actually think the lights should get a little lower. I'm realizing that there's a certain subset of people who might be sort of winding down. I watched a really interesting video over lunch. Well, you were here. You were watching. And so, Zeke, if you're out there, can we get the lights lowered here? Do you also have a tissue out there somewhere? Thank you. I'm going to go get that real quick.
Paper towel.
Oh, that'll work. All right. Yeah, if you don't mind just lowering the light here, I think it'll make people a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more likely to relax and maybe even fall asleep here. Thank you. Looks very nice. A little cozier. Lima bean soup. 2 cups lima beans, 4 quarts water, 1 large onion, minced fine, 4 tablespoons butter, 2 tablespoons cornstarch, 1 teaspoon celery seed, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, 2 small teaspoons salt. Wash beans and soak overnight. Pour off the water and put them on to boil in 3 quarts of water. As soon as they boil, add 1 teaspoon of soda and drain. Add 4 quarts of boiling water to the beans and place them where they will simmer for 4 hours. Add celery seed the last hour of cooking. Cook the onion and butter in stew pan about 15 minutes and add to the soup. Cook a few minutes together, then rub through a sieve. Add cornstarch dissolved in a little cold water. Pepper and salt to taste. Cook 20 minutes and serve. That was by Mrs. Lily Trodson, worthy matron. Thick rice soup. 2 pints of water or stock, salt and pepper to taste, 2 small onions, 2 tablespoons of Crisco, 1 cup of rice, Sorry, can we get it brighter in here? I can't read this very well. It's really hard. I feel like I'm making a silly face every time I read. Thank you. Sorry to be a bother. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. 1 cup of canned tomatoes or 4 fresh ones. Wash and drain rice. Heat Crisco in saucepan. Add rice and stir constantly until a golden brown. Now add water or stock, onions and tomatoes cut in small pieces, and seasoning. Cook slowly for 1 hour. That's from Mrs. Ethel Sorensen. Peanut soup. 1 tumblerful peanut butter. 1 pint water. 1 quart milk. 2 tablespoons cornstarch. 2 small teaspoons salt. 1 sliced onion. 1 cup chopped celery. Put all together in a double boiler, except cornstarch. When soup reaches scalding point, mix cornstarch with a little cold milk and add, stirring for 5 minutes when it's ready to serve. That's from Mrs. Lily Trodson, worthy matron. Soup of za beans. Place 2 ounces of olive oil in stew pan, 1 onion chopped fine and cooked until slightly brown. Add 1 can kidney beans, 1 pint of water, and cook for 30 minutes with seasoning to taste. Without disturbing ingredients, add 1/2 pound of noodles and cooked until noodles are tender. That's from Mrs. B. Koch. Vegetable soup. 3 pounds fresh beef, 4 quarts water, cold, 1 large onion, 1 large carrot, 1 stalk celery or celery root, 3 leaves of cabbage, 1/2 cup lima beans, 1/2 cup navy beans, 1 tablespoon salt. Put meat in cold water on to boil. Soon as it starts to boil, skim. Add beans and vegetables, cut as for vegetable soup. Add salt, cover, and let boil slowly for 3 hours. Strain off half the clear soup and set aside to cool. Add 1 cup of canned tomatoes and the remaining vegetables, and let come to a boil. This makes for good vegetable soup. Then use the strained clear soup for next day and add noodles or boiled rice. That's from Mrs. Louis Ziv. Cream of tomato soup. I think that's the second time this has come up. Peel and cut up a dozen ripe tomatoes. Stew until tender in a cup of water. Put through a colander or vegetable press and thicken with 3 teaspoons of cornstarch, rubbed to a paste, with a heaping tablespoon of butter. Season to taste with salt, pepper, onion juice, and enough sugar to correct the acid taste of the tomatoes. Pour slowly into a quart of unskimmed milk, scalding hot, to which a pinch of soda has been added. The mixture added to the milk should be brought to a boil before it goes into the saucepan containing the milk. Serve at once, before the foam induced by the boiling subsides. And if you can have the milk 1/4 cream, the soup will richly deserve its name. Marion Kruger. Here we have an ad for North Avenue State Bank. They are open Saturday evening from 6 to 9. Resources over $4 million. A safe bank for your savings in Chicago. You can get a safety deposit. Oh, yeah, this is way too blown out. Okay. It was a lot easier for me to read. I think it's pretty difficult to read because of how strangely written all this stuff is, but I would rather have the audience, the viewer, be comfortable and cozy. So I will suffer. I'll do my best to read, and you, let's go ahead and just lower the lights once again. The important thing is for the viewer to feel cozy. That's excellent. Thank you. Okay. Clam chowder. 1 pound of bacon cut in small pieces. Fry brown. 3 quarts of water. 1/4 peck potatoes cut small. 3 onions cut small. 1 can tomatoes. 1 can corn. 1 can of clams chopped. Boil until potatoes are tender. This one's attributed to somebody just named A Friend. Tomato bouillon with oysters. 1 can tomatoes, 1 1/2 quarts of bouillon, 1 tablespoon chopped onions, 1/2 bay leaf. Whole one might have been a little too spicy. 6 cloves. Oh, cloves. 1/2 teaspoon peppercorns, 1/2 teaspoon celery seeds, and 1 pint oysters. Mix all ingredients except oysters and boil 20 minutes. Strain and cool. Add parboiled oysters and serve in cups with croutons. I'm going to zoom in on this so that you can see. I'm not going crazy. This is legitimately hard to read. It says croutons instead of croutons. Hold on. I think I've officially reached this age. How's that? Oh, yeah. That's good. That was from Miss Mary V2. Spinach soup. Boil 2 pounds of beef and 1/2 pound of salt pork. Then add 1 cup of oatmeal, onion, potatoes, and 2 cups of chopped spinach. From Veda Torgerson. Soup consommé regale. Soup consommé regale. Put 2 tablespoons of butter in kettle. Add 2 pounds of beef and 2 pounds veal cut up fine. Stir until brown. Add little water and stew for ½ hour. Add 2 quarts cold water and simmer for 2 hours. Then add 1 onion, 1 carrot, and celery cut up with bay leaf, parsley, seasoning, etc. Cook until done, strain and cool. When ready for use, remove fat on top, boil up, add white of egg beaten and mixed with 1 cup cold water. Boil hard 10 minutes. Throw in another ½ cup cold water. Boil again 5 minutes. Strain and serve. This is a delicious, clear bouillon, says Mrs. Bessie Sings. Okay, I have a much better idea. Let's keep the lights bright, but I heard that it's actually blue light, right? It's the blue light that's the problem for people who are trying to fall asleep. So if we cut this blue and just filter all the light to be red, it should be very sleep friendly. Not going to wake anybody up. Not going to hurt anybody's eyes or heads. We've got a story about Betty and her daddy once these lights get changed. Yeah, let's get this blue switched out for a nice red. It's better. Can the key lights turn red as well? They can't. Okay. Let me fix that in post, and then hopefully the frame will all be red. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Let's see how sleepy everybody feels after that. We can read this story, or presumably advertisement, called Betty and Her Daddy. It's 2 a.m. and the house is cold. Out of the darkness comes a cry. Daddy, Daddy, oh Daddy. And Daddy is up. He doesn't mind the cold if the little hand that pats him is warm. That was 10 years ago. Happy, short years, working for the baby and her mother. It is 2 a.m. again, and out of an awful darkness comes the cry. Daddy, Daddy, oh Daddy. But Daddy will never jump up again, and he does not know that Betty's hands are warm over his cold ones. It's 2 years later, and the little cash balance is gone. Mother is a forewoman in an overall factory. Betty is a cash girl. She will be an uneducated woman. Daddy and Mother had planned college and a happy life for her. The cash balance would have paid for an income for life for wife and daughter. Go, story from life, and save others from making the same economic mistake. That's from Benjamin Bradford. This is an advertisement for Connecticut Mutual Life Insurance. Okay, well, their telephone number is 6580. So if you want to give them a call and complain about that horrifying story, that's how you can call. Here's a code. Woohoo. SFXO 5G ZG IQ Q1D4. All right, here comes fish. A nude fishing baby and another baby in an apron catching a fish with a pan. It has been observed that change is the sauce that sharpens appetite. Fish croquettes. To 1.5 cups cold flaked halibut or salmon, add 1 cup thick white sauce. Season with salt and pepper and spread on a plate to cool. Shape, roll in crumbs, egg and crumbs, and fry in deep fat. Drain, arrange on hot dish for serving, and garnish with parsley. If salmon is used, add lemon juice and finely chopped parsley. That's from Mrs. Golden. Steamed salmon, very good for luncheon. 1 large can of salmon, 2 eggs beaten lightly, 2 tablespoons melted butter, ½ cup breadcrumbs, little lemon juice, pepper, and salt. Pour off the juice, pick out bones, and chop fine. Beat crumbs in eggs and butter. Steam 1 hour in round tins. 2 1-pound baking powder tins will answer the purpose. Sauce for salmon. Make milk gravy of 1 cup milk. Add liquid from salmon. Lastly, add 1 egg beaten lightly. Do not let boil after adding egg. This recipe will serve 10 persons and served with mashed potatoes, and the sauce makes a very nice luncheon. This is Deborah Hirschberg's recipe. Baked halibut. Put in baking pan 3 thin slices of fat salt pork, about 2 inches square, 3 slices of onions, and a bit of bay leaf. On top of these, lay your halibut, spread over it a tablespoon of butter and flour creamed together, cover with buttered cracker crumbs, small strips of salt pork, and bake 20 to 30 minutes. Cooked this way, it is delicious. Garnish with lemon and parsley, says Mrs. Bradway. Flounders. Clean fish and let stand in cold water 1 hour. Drain, salt, and let stand 1 hour. Add 1.5 tablespoons vinegar in water to cover fish. Boil about 3 minutes over a slow fire. Serve with gravy made of butter, flour, chopped parsley, and liquid from fish. Mrs. Betty Sorensen. Salmon puff. 1 large canned salmon, 2 eggs, 1 cup breadcrumbs, 2 cups milk, salt and pepper, 1 onion, and a little butter. Bake ½ hour. Mix salmon, breadcrumbs, onion, and seasoning and milk together. Beat eggs until light and add to above ingredients. Mrs. Joseph Balassa. Halibut steak. 2 halibut steaks, 1/2 pint oysters, a few thin slices salt pork, 1 cup cracker crumbs, 1/3 cup melted butter, salt, paprika. Put slices of pork in a pan, then 1 steak seasoned and covered by oysters, which have been rolled in buttered cracker crumbs. Then put on the other steak with slices of pork on top. Bake 35 minutes in hot oven, basting every 10 minutes. Delicious. Mrs. Ray Franknecht. Creamed salmon. Separate canned salmon into rather large pieces and heat, without breaking very much, in white sauce. Serve on hot buttered toast and season with salt and pepper. Miss D. Dindinger. Herring. 2 fat salt herring, best. Soak overnight clean, remove bone and skin, cut in inch pieces and cover with the following: 1 cup vinegar, 6 teaspoons sugar, 2 large onions. Mrs. Betty Sorensen. Codfish balls. 1 cup of codfish, 2 cups potatoes, 1/2 tablespoon butter, 1 egg. Cover the codfish with boiling water. When it is slightly cool, drain, shred, and add to mashed potatoes. Add butter and beaten egg. Mix thoroughly, shape into balls, and fry in deep fat. Drain and serve with white sauce. Lily Zork. Creamed lobster. 1 large canned lobster, 1 pint milk, 3 tablespoons butter, 2.5 tablespoons flour, paprika, salt, and pepper. 1 green pepper sliced. Remove bones from lobster and all hard portions. Melt butter in a skillet. Add flour and stir until smooth. Then add Then add milk, which has been warmed. Stir till it is creamy and all the lumps disappear. Add seasoning and finally lobster. Let the mixture boil, and when it reaches the desired consistency, serve in ramekins or patty shells. Place 1 or 2 rings of green pepper on each portion. Miss Christine Branding. I have to find out what patty shells are. Patty shells. You'll have to bear with me. I don't have... Oh, interesting. When I Google patty shells, it's just results for pastry shells. Could it be that this is a typo? No, there's a Reddit from 3 months ago saying patty shell filling from Mackenzie's. Is this Mackenzie? No, that was Miss Christine Branding. What's a patty shell? Are patty shells puff pastry? That's the top comment. Response, they are puff pastry, or you can use phyllo cups too. All right, mystery solved. Patty shells are pastry shells. Riveting material, as always. Thank you very much. Fish pudding, yum. Mix 1 tablespoon of flour with 1 teaspoon of butter. When melted, add 1 cup of milk, and when thick, add the beaten yolks of 2 eggs and cook 1 minute. Remove from fire and add 1 cup of cold cooked fish chopped fine. Season with salt and pepper and mix in whites of eggs beaten stiff. Bake about 1 hour. Ethel M. Davis. Baked halibut steak. Trim the steaks, lay them on a roasting pan, and for 2 pounds, use 1 cup of cream, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Dredge the steaks with flour. Add the seasoning, then pour over the cream and bake 15 minutes in a quick oven. Mrs. F. Monk. I fear I might be losing my voice soon enough. I don't know why reading this cookbook makes me speak like a person of the past. Broiled finnan haddie. Broil in a greased broiler until brown on both sides. Remove to a pan and cover with hot water. Let stand 10 minutes, drain, and place on a platter. Spread with butter and sprinkle with pepper. That's Mrs. Golden who wrote that one. Whitefish croquettes. Boil 1.5 pounds of whitefish until done. Cook and pick meat off bones. Make a sauce of 1/2 cup butter, 1 tablespoon flour, 1 cup milk. Beat until smooth. Add a little grated onion, parsley, pepper and salt to taste. Make day before using. Next morning, cut and shape any way you desire. Beat 3 eggs, about 1 loaf of breadcrumbs, so dry you can sift them. Dip in eggs, then breadcrumbs, then let stand for a little while. Fry in deep hot fat in a wire basket. Lily Trodson, worthy matron. I'm not even going to read these ads anymore because the last one was so horrifying, so just pretend that this is an ad for Barkley, dinnerwithbarkley.com, or for Fruitful, the previously mentioned advertiser. Before we begin the next segment, here is your code. KAR9AMMNTG65XX. I've never heard this word before. Escalloped oysters. That sounds like what you might get if you ask for scalloped oysters in El Paso. Escalloped oysters. 1 pint oysters, 4 tablespoons oyster liquor, 2 tablespoons cream, 1/2 cup stale breadcrumbs, 1 cup cracker crumbs, 1/2 cup melted butter, salt and pepper. Mix bread and cracker crumbs and stir in butter. Put a thin layer in bottom of baking dish, cover with oysters and sprinkle with salt and pepper. Add 1/2 each oyster liquor and cream. Repeat and cover with remaining liquor, cream, and crumbs. Bake 30 minutes in a hot oven. Lydia Patterson. Fried oysters. Clean and dry selected oysters. Season with salt and pepper. Dip in flour, egg, and cracker crumbs and fry in deep fat. Drain on brown paper, garnish with parsley, and serve with or without sauce. Ella Patterson. Oyster cocktail. 8 raw oysters, 1 tablespoon tomato catsup, 1/2 tablespoon lemon juice, 2 drops Tabasco, salt, 1 teaspoon celery chopped very fine, and 1/2 teaspoon Worcestershire sauce. Mix ingredients, chill thoroughly, and serve in cocktail glasses. Bessie Shipley. Coddled oysters. Melt 1 tablespoon butter in pan and add just enough tomato catsup to cover the amount of oysters used. When bubbling, add oysters and cook 2 minutes. Serve on toast. Mrs. Elizabeth Kramer. Oyster toast. Served broiled oysters on small pieces of milk toast. Sprinkle with finely chopped celery. Mrs. Golden. Lemon butter. 1/4 cup of butter. 1 tablespoon lemon juice. Cream the butter and add slowly the lemon juice. White sauce. 2 tablespoons butter. 1.5 tablespoons flour. 1 cup scalded milk. 1/4 teaspoon salt. Few grains pepper. Put butter in a saucepan. Stir until melted and bubbling. Add flour mixed with seasonings and stir until thoroughly blended. Then pour on gradually the milk, bring to a boiling point and let boil 2 minutes. Tartar sauce. 1 tablespoon vinegar. 1 teaspoon lemon juice. 1/4 teaspoon salt. 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce. 1/3 cup butter. Mix vinegar, lemon juice, salt, and Worcestershire sauce in a small bowl and heat over hot water. Brown the butter in a pan and strain into first mixture. Mrs. Golden. There's a quote here from Mrs. Golden. If you attempt the boiling to hurry, the gas only is wasted. But in attempting the roasting to hurry, the food as well isn't fit to be tasted. Something interesting going on here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, is that the typeset for the 1/4 symbol is perfectly fine, and yet that for the 1/3 symbol is completely wrong. Yeah, kind of interesting. I wonder if this was like metal set type that they had to manually do that. Oh, great. Here's an aside, I suppose, called How to Cook Husbands. I don't think I'll be reading it because, it's fully justified from left to right, and the leading is about, 1/10 of an M height. It's impossible to read this. I'm sure it's very funny. We move on instead to meats. If you attempt the boiling to hurry, the gas only is wasted. Hey, wait a minute. That's exactly what was in the end of the tartar sauce recipe. Something funky is going on with the type here, that there was a reprint, a horrible typeset followed by this. Anyway, I might as well read it. But in attempting the roasting to hurry, the food as well isn't fit to be tasted. Veal loaf. 1.5 pounds ground veal, 1/2 pound ground salt. 1/2 pound ground salt pork, 1 can tomato soup, 1 stalk celery, 1 green pepper cut fine, 1 large onion cut fine, salt and pepper. Mix all together and roast about 1 hour. Mrs. Elizabeth Kruter. Chop suey. 1 pound shoulder pork and 1 pound veal, cut small. Fry slowly, ½ hour. Add 1 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons New Orleans molasses. Fry 10 minutes more. Add 1 cup sliced onions, 2 cups celery, cut small. Fry 20 minutes. Sprinkle with flour 3 times. Boil a few minutes, then add pepper, paprika, and chili sauce. Serve with boiled rice. Mrs. Bessie Sings made that very long recipe. Although I think it was Carl Sagan who said, if you wish to make chop suey from scratch, you must first wake up. English beef, tenderloin, sliced 3/4 inch thick and flattened, salt and pepper, and a little flour. Brown in hot butter both sides. Fry eggs, place on slices of beef, and serve hot. Mrs. Betty Sorensen. Jellied chicken. 3 pounds chicken and 1.5 pounds lean veal. Cook until tender. While cooking, add salt and pepper, parsley, ½ lemon, and 1 onion. Remove meat, strain liquor, about 1 quart. Add 2 tablespoons gelatin, dissolved in small cup of water. Remove meat from bones, cut in pieces, and add to liquor. Pour in a mold and let stand a day. Cut in slices and garnish with thin slices of lemon. Mrs. Sarah Mack. Beef a la mode. 3 pounds beef from round, 1/2 dozen ripe tomatoes, or 1 can. Where was I? 2 onions. Place tomatoes and onions in skillet. Add salt and pepper. Place meat on vegetables. Add 1 cup hot water and 1/4 cup vinegar. Cover tightly and cook slowly about 3 hours. Thicken gravy when ready to serve. Mrs. F. Caldwell. Chicken terrapin. Cut up leftover cold chicken into small pieces. Put in skillet. 1 cup rich milk. Mix 1 tablespoon of flour and butter. And when milk boils, stir it in. Add salt and pepper. Chop 2 hard-boiled eggs. Add to chicken and stir together into thickened cream. Let come to boil and serve. Ham and pork loaf. 2 pounds pork from shoulder. 2 pounds cottage ham ground together. 3 eggs beaten. 2/3 cup sweet milk. 1 cup cracker crumbs. Pepper. No salt. Mix well together. Form in loaf. Bake in bread pan with 1 small can Campbell's tomato soup over top. Mrs. Bessie sings. Hold on. First letter must be A. Jeez. Creamed meats. 1 teaspoon butter. And annex? No. Axes? No. Yeah, most people are asleep by now anyway, right? All leave. Is that even a word? That's just a brand, not in word list. There's not a whole lot of letters that come after A that are vowels. RSTLNE. It has been so long since I've tried this. Aspic? Oh, must contain E. Who put this on hard mode? And a news? Not in word list. Something a news? How about askew? No, because the E's not there. Abide? No. This I and D aren't in here. Armenian rolls. 1.5 pounds round steak, ground. Away. 1.5 cups of rice, 1 can tomatoes, 2 large onions chopped fine, small bunch of parsley, 1 lemon, 2 tablespoons of lard. That's not a word, is it? 1 large head of cabbage. Way to prepare. Drain the tomatoes, save the juice, mix ground meat, raw rice, onions, and parsley. Do not cut too fine. And thick part of tomatoes. Salt and pepper all together. Cut heart out of cabbage, but do not cut in half. Drop in boiling water, boil 10 minutes, take apart and roll 1 teaspoon of the mixture in a part of cabbage leaf until all the mixture is used up. Makes about 50 rolls. Take juice of tomatoes, add juice of 1 lemon, dash of red pepper and salt. Pour over rolls when laid very close together in a stew kettle. Put a light weight on when cooking and cook about 4 hours over a very slow fire. Melt lard in stew kettle before adding rolls. Mrs. Joseph Scheindoller. Okay, I really need to figure this out. How about axiom? No, because there's no I and O. All. alive, alu, aliz, alep, alp, late. Is that a word? Okay, we've got an L. A. Avail. No. Avail. Is that a word? No. There's no other vowels, so it has to be an A or an E. Evade. Evade. Avow. A vape. A veep. A veeb. A vabe. A veeb. Oh, there's an L. The L has to be something L-E. Low. Lie. Aoli. No, it's not L-Y-E. A. Ollie. Surely Anil. Hey, I didn't even know that was a word. Okay. A-N-A-L-E? What is that even? Not in word list. Okay. What vowel goes here? A-E-I-O-U. There's Y. I don't think that's a word. Okay. It's not A. It's not E. It's not I. It's not O. It's not U. How could it? And those are all the vowels. Ample. Like, could it be? Oh, ankle. Ankle. All right. We did it. Surely this is it, right? Enter. What? Ample. Okay. Ample. Oh, this surely has to be it. Oh, it's an N. If it's not ankle, it can't be a vowel. A-N-Q-Y-P-S. Ansel. It's not A. Angle. All right. This is it. Angle. Thank God. All right. In the last hour. All right. Where were we? Armenian rolls. East India chop suey. 5 pounds of chicken cut in small pieces and fried in butter. Fry 1/2 pound salt pork cut in chips with 6 large onions and garlic. Separate from chicken. Cut 6 stalks of celery, 2 leeks. Leeks is spelled wrong. Tisk tisk, Miss Marie Pearson. Put in large kettle, half filled with water. Although I guess I never know if like shell pastry is the same as puff pastry or whatever it's called. Add chicken and other mixture. 1 can of mushrooms. Boil together until chicken is tender. When done, thicken with 3 tablespoons curry powder and flour. Add 1 can of French peas. Cook rice separately. Serves 12 people. Meat dish. 1.5 pounds of round steak, chopped. 1 cup uncooked rice, washed. 1 small onion, grated. Salt and pepper to taste. Mix all together and form into meat cakes. Roll in flour on both sides. Put in butter or dripping. Then pour a can of tomatoes over cakes and cook 1 hour. After they cook down a little, add water to keep from burning. Mrs. Martha Donovan, past matron. Flank steak with tomato sauce. 1 tablespoon butter. 1 large onion. Fry together until golden brown. Take a medium-sized flanked steak and brown well on both sides in the onion and butter. Pour over it a very little water and let it simmer down. Then add a can of tomato soup. Cover and let simmer for 20 minutes. Here we have again my favorite, Mrs. D. Dindinger. Meat balls. Grind pieces of meat left from any roast. Fry small onion in fat. Add meat mixed with softened stale bread, salt, and pepper. Add yolks of 2 eggs. Mix well. Add beaten whites of eggs. Roll in breadcrumbs and flour. Fry to a nice brown. Mrs. Betty Sorensen. Hamburg steak or Hamburg steak. 1 pound round steak. 1 tablespoon cornstarch. 3/4 cup milk. 2 teaspoons salt. Small spoon of pepper. Beat well. Drop with tablespoon on greased frying pan. Brown both sides. Add cup of water. Cover and let simmer over very slow fire. Mildred Watson. Chopped beef and green peppers. 1/2 pound round steak ground. 1/2 cup uncooked rice. 1 small onion cut up fine. 1 egg, salt and pepper. 6 sweet green peppers. Mix beef and uncooked rice and add onion, salt, and pepper and bind with eggs. Cut the stem off of green peppers and clean out seeds and fiber and stuff with meat mixture. Stand erect in small kettle and just cover with water, boiling. Cook slowly for about ½ hour or until rice is cooked. Brown some butter, add good tablespoon flour and brown. Remove peppers carefully from kettle and add browned flour to liquid left and cook until thickened. Pour over peppers and serve hot. Mrs. Agnes M. Johansson. Chop suey. 1 pound round steak. 1 pound pork shoulder or veal. 5 onions. 2 stalks celery. 3 tablespoons molasses. 2 tablespoons chop suey sauce. Cut meat into small oblong pieces and flour same. Then browned in suet, salt, and pepper. Add enough water to about cover. Then add molasses and sauce and let simmer until almost tender. Add cut up onions and celery. Do not cut too small. And simmer until all is tender. Serve with steamed rice. Gertrude Bergslien, past worthy matron. Chili con carne. Not carne, but carne. C-A-R-N-I. 1 pound kidney beans soaked overnight. Cook in morning with 1 large onion, a small stalk of celery, and a small can of tomato pulp. When done, add 7 potatoes cut up in small pieces, a small package of spaghetti cooked separately. Add a pound of chopped beef, a little at a time, and a pinch of red and black pepper. Cook until potatoes are soft. Mrs. Logus. Oh, got a long way to go. Meatballs with celery cream. 1 pound beef chopped fine. 1/4 loaf of bread soaked in water. Do not use crust. Season with salt and pepper, onion and nutmeg. Beat 1 egg. Add a cup of milk gradually and mix well with the above. Shape in balls. Boil tops of celery stalks about ½ hour. Salt, strain, and add meatballs. Cook until they come to the top. Celery cream. Cream 1 tablespoon of butter and 2 tablespoons of flour. Add liquid from meat and milk to make a gravy. Add 1 teaspoon of sugar and pieces of celery cut fine. Boil 10 minutes, add meatballs, and let simmer a few minutes. Goose dressing. 4 onions and 1 ounce green sage, chopped fine. 1 large cup of stale breadcrumbs. Same of mashed potatoes. 1 cup raisins. 1 cup chopped apples. 1 teaspoon butter. 1 teaspoon salt and pepper. 2 eggs. Mix well and stuff goose. Mrs. Elizabeth Cordes. Let's see if I can get this. Let me just try to reposition a couple things here just to get a better angle. Let me just... Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Spicy recipes. Polpette in spicy sauce. Ingredients: 1 pound ground veal, 1/2 pound sweet Italian sausage, casings removed, 1 cup dry breadcrumbs, 1/2 cup whole milk, 3 garlic cloves, minced, 2 tablespoons chopped flat leaf parsley, 2 large egg whites, 1 tablespoon tomato paste, 1/2 cup freshly grated Pecorino Romano cheese, plus more for sprinkling, salt and freshly ground pepper, 2½ cups prepared tomato sauce, large pinch of crushed red pepper. Cooking directions. Preheat the oven to 350. In a bowl, mix the veal with the sausage meat, breadcrumbs, milk, garlic, chopped parsley, egg whites, tomato paste, and 1/2 cup of pecorino. Season with salt and pepper. Roll into 1½ inch meatballs. Bake the meatballs on a lightly oiled baking sheet for about 30 minutes until browned and cooked through. In a large saucepan, season the tomato sauce with the crushed red pepper. Add the meatballs and simmer until the sauce is slightly thickened, about 8 minutes. Sprinkle with pecorino cheese and serve. Cheese and beer soup with spicy popcorn garnish. Ingredients: 5 tablespoons butter, 1 cup finely chopped yellow onion, 1 cup finely chopped celery, 1 cup finely chopped parsnip, 2 tablespoons minced garlic, 1/2 cup all-purpose flour, 4 cups rich chicken stock, 2 cups amber or pale ale beer, 2 bay leaves, 1/8 teaspoon cayenne pepper, 1/2 cup heavy cream, 2 cups grated cheddar, best quality possible, 1½ cups crumbled Stilton cheese, salt and freshly ground pepper, 2 teaspoons freshly chopped parsley leaves to garnish. Spicy popcorn for garnish. Recipe follows: 3 tablespoons vegetable or olive oil, pinch cayenne pepper, 1/3 cup white popping corn, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, melted, 1 teaspoon Emeril's Original Essence. Recipe follows: 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon cayenne pepper, 2½ tablespoons paprika, 2 tablespoons salt, 2 tablespoons garlic powder, 1 tablespoon black pepper, 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon dried oregano, 1 tablespoon dried thyme. Note: hallucinations are possible. If the measurements for the ingredients seem off, please double-check with the source website. Happy cooking. Cooking directions. Melt butter over low heat in a large pot, and then add the onions, celery, and parsnips. Cover and cook the vegetables, stirring occasionally for 10 to 12 minutes, or until the vegetables are very tender. Add the garlic and cook until fragrant, about 1 minute. Sprinkle the flour over the vegetables and cook, stirring constantly, for 3 to 4 minutes. Gradually, whisk in the stock and the beer. Add the bay leaves and cayenne pepper. Bring to a boil slowly. Take caution as the liquid tends to bubble up as it comes to a boil. Reduce the heat to medium-low and simmer uncovered, stirring occasionally until flavors come together and the soup has reached a nice consistency, about 1 hour. Add the heavy cream and stir to combine. Add the cheeses, a little at a time, stirring until nearly melted after each addition. Season with salt and pepper. Remove from the heat, taste, adjust seasoning if necessary. Garnish with the parsley and spicy popcorn. In a large, partially covered saucepan, heat olive oil with a pinch of cayenne pepper and 1 piece of popping corn until hot enough to make the corn pop. Add the remaining popping corn and cook partially covered, shaking until all corn is popped. Transfer to a large mixing bowl and toss with the remaining ingredients until evenly coated. Combine all ingredients thoroughly. Yield 2/3 cup. Combine all ingredients thoroughly. Yield 2/3 cup. Dutch pancakes with spicy apples. Ingredients: pancakes, 6 large eggs, 1 cup flour, all-purpose, 2 tablespoons sugar granulated, 1 cup milk, spicy apple topping, 1/4 cup margarine, 1 tablespoon cornstarch mixed with 2 tablespoons water, cold, 13 cup brown sugar packed, 1 teaspoon cinnamon ground, 3 medium apples red, cored, sliced, 1/2 cup sour cream, light, optional, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar. Note: if the measurements for the ingredients seem off, please double-check with the source website. Happy cooking. Cooking directions: pancakes. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Spray a 10-inch round oven-safe skillet with non-stick cooking spray. Beat the eggs. Mix in the flour, sugar, and milk. Pour the mixture into the pan and bake for 15 minutes. Reduce the heat to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, 160 degrees Celsius, and bake for 40 to 45 minutes longer. Remove immediately and cut into wedges. Top with spicy apples. Spicy apple. Topping: melt the margarine in a skillet and add the cornstarch mixture, brown sugar, and cinnamon. Stir until thickened. Add the apples and cook until crisp tender. Spoon over the pancakes. Combine the sour cream and powdered sugar. Add a dollop to each serving if desired. Garnish with pansies or dianthus. Serve with sausage. This is a notification that your token balance is running low. Please add more tokens in order to avoid interruption of voice processing. Spicy macaroni and cheese. Ingredients: 2 cups elbow macaroni, cooked until almost al dente. 16 ounces cheddar cheese, shredded, divided. 8 ounces Monterey Jack pepper cheese, shredded. 2 teaspoons all-purpose flour. 12 teaspoon salt. 12 teaspoon black pepper. 12 teaspoon cayenne pepper. 12 teaspoon dry mustard. 18 teaspoon nutmeg. 4 tablespoons sour cream. 1 egg, beaten. 1 cup heavy cream. 1 cup half and half. 4 slices bread, cubed. 1 tablespoon butter. Cooking directions: in large bowl, toss together pasta with pepper jack cheese and half the cheddar cheese and pour into greased 2-quart baking dish. In same bowl, mix together the flour, salt, black pepper, cayenne pepper, dry mustard, nutmeg, sour cream, egg, cream, and half. Pour mixture over the pasta, cheese mixture, and top with remaining cheddar cheese. Bake uncovered until top is just beginning to brown, about 35 minutes. Meanwhile, in a skillet over medium heat, melt butter and add bread cubes and toast until golden. Spread bread cubes on top of macaroni and cheese and continue baking until golden brown, about 10 minutes more. This spicy dish is sure to wake up your senses. Just 1 bite is all it takes to really wake up your taste buds with fiery spice. Try it now and wake up now. Wake up now. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
DoorDash. Hello? DoorDash.
You there, boy. What's today, my fine fellow?
Today? Well, today's April 1st.
I haven't missed it. The algorithm has done it all in one night. It can do anything it wants. Of course it can. Of course it can. Tell me, do you know the grocer in the next street?
Yes, sir, I do.
An intelligent lad. A remarkable lad. Do you know if the prize rotisserie chicken is still sitting in the warming bay? Not the small prize chicken, the big one.
The one as big as me. It's still there.
Go and buy it for me, and I'll give you a Satoshi. No, I'll give you an Ethereum.
Wow!
I'll make it into a short, and what a surprise it'll be.
Give you good morrow, guys. Today I'm explaining my morning routine starting as the clock strikes 3 a.m.
I always start my day with a nice facial steam to open up the pores and awaken the senses. Okay, so then what I do next is